Is there an F5 tornado?
It's the mother of all storms. Finger of God.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Mondays in Midtown, the hottest public affairs news magazine on closed-circuit television. I'm Mark Zinn. On this week's show, it's a good one, we have part 3 of our 3-part series where we sat down exclusively with Mayor Slay. Francis Slay, of course, he is the mayor of St. Louis, and this week he talks about those census numbers that came out and the positive census numbers, which they weren't so positive, and what that means for the future of the city of St. Louis. So you want to hear that interview momentarily. We'll also have some special insight into KWMU, which is the NPR affiliate here in St. Louis, also known as St. Louis Public Radio, their new station that's going to be built just north of our campus, and the construction has started on that. So you want to hear that. And we also, of course, have all the rest of the shenanigans, including checking in with Chris Ackles in London about that royal wedding. So you want to stay tuned to this week's episode. Real quickly, though, in Mark's moment, I want to talk to you about something that's very close, very dear to my heart and to Delilah's heart. Delilah, of course, is a syndicated radio host, but she always says, slow down and love someone. I think it's something like a, slow down and love someone. And I think that's an interesting take because I think it's something we should all do. Sometimes, and I'm a prime example of this, I get congested in life, in work, in homework, in school, and everything else. And I don't slow down and love someone, or just at least slow down, take a look at what's going on around you, because if you don't do that, apparently the world moves pretty quickly, and time travels quickly, and you're now going to be graduating next month from St. Louis University. So you really do need to slow down and love someone. With that being said, though, if you disagree with that, if you think you should speed up and hate people, send me an email at mondaysinmidtown@gmail.com. But with that being said, here is part 3 of our 3-part series where we interviewed Mayor Francis Slay and talked about the St. Louis Census. I want to switch topics now to the census numbers. But before the census numbers were released in February, your office seemed pretty adamant about the city was going to be gaining residents, that is, just from estimations.
Based on the estimates of the census, they were telling us that our population was increasing.
Right. And so, being the mayor of the city,
yeah.
How was that Thursday when you get a call or something like that saying that you're not going up by a certain percentage, you actually have gone down more than you thought you were going to go up by?
Right. Well, first of all, it was a sobering moment, of course. We actually were hoping, although we knew that this was a possibility, this was not something that came as a complete shock to us, but it was something that we were hoping didn't happen. That was bad news for the city. The city lost 29,000 people. When we looked at the numbers, so that's the answer to your question. Mm-hmm. It was a sobering moment, and so we needed to look at the numbers more closely then to find out what happened, where did we lose population, and why, and we did some of that.
If I could bring you just real quickly, trying to get through social media, we had a Facebook comment from a viewer who wanted to know about the census issue. He says that you have served admirably and in many cases successfully. However, current census data suggests that in 10 years that there may not be much of a city left to run. How can St. Louis overcome what is seemingly a perfect storm of problems that threaten the long-term viability of the city itself?
Well, I think I've got an answer to that question. Well, when we looked at the data, what we were able to see is that basically the reason we lost population because we lost families with children. We have 22,000 fewer kids in the city of St. Louis today under 18 than we had 10 years ago. And we know anecdotally, the reason for that is people are either deciding not to move into the city, or in a lot of cases, families are leaving the city because they don't believe there's enough quality free public education choices for parents and their kids. And when 22,000 kids leave, they bring their parents with them. So that more than accounts for the 29,000 that we lost. The good news is there's a lot of real positive indicators. A lot of people moved into the city of St. Louis that otherwise in the past years haven't done that. We've got a lot of 20s and 30-something people who grew up in the county. They wanted to be close to the city. And we had empty nesters, people whose kids have grown moving into the city. They were maybe lifelong county residents. They're coming into the city, as well as those with alternative lifestyles, gays and lesbians moving into the city, many of whom don't have children. And they do that because they're drawn to what we have to offer. They like the fact that it's close to, it's dense, it's more densely populated, there's a lot of diversity of people, things to do, the architecture, the arts, the cultural and entertainment attractions, the central location. They like that lifestyle. It's easier to get around and they're closer to things and places, where places, there are places to do, things to do. And so we need to continue to build upon those things that we were able to create to help bring more people in the city. I mean, frankly, we did lose people, but we didn't lose we didn't lose as many people this last 10 years as we did in the previous 50. So I see us as a smaller city, but as a city that can still grow in the future. But the number one thing we need to deal with is good quality free public education choice, and that's why I've been a huge advocate for quality charter schools in the city of St. Louis. And there's been a whole new crop, or a whole within the last couple of years, of new quality charter schools that are helping us reach that goal.
So certainly education is an issue, but I mean, and I mean this with respect rather, I mean, but it's the lowest number the residents in St. Louis in over 100 years. Is it time to rethink how the city operates itself? I mean, I've talked to people who say that the city still runs like it's 1950. We're still in the booming town, and we're continuously losing residents. I mean, do you believe that the city maybe should start thinking about the region maybe more, or at least how the city itself operates?
Well, no, first of all, it's not a matter of starting thinking about that. We've been thinking about that for the last 10 years in my office about the city government's arcane. Our structure of government through the region is arcane, and it's something that really, I believe, is holding us back. I mean, we're competing with St. Louis County over jobs, people, and taxes more so than we're working together to help build a stronger region. I've been talking about that for 10 years. I'm talking about actually having the city re-under the county as another municipality. We've talked about charter reform here in the city government. We actually went to the voters with some charter reform proposals back in 2004 or 5, I believe it was, which were resoundingly defeated, but I haven't given up on those things. No, I do think that it's far past time to start thinking about those things. I think the key issue is, and I'm seeing some change of attitudes over time within the 10 years that I've been here. But what we need to do is get more people engaged in really looking at what's wrong with St. Louis and what we need to do to move St. Louis forward. But those are some of the things we need to look at, a regional approach to things, and I can talk about that for a long time, and as also charter reform in the city government.
And again, that was Mayor Francis Slay, the mayor of St. Louis, part 3 of our 3-part series where we sat down with him exclusively. And during that interview, you heard him talk about the census results. A pretty hot topic if you were around that mayor's office on the day those census results were released, only because the mayor's office thought we were going to gain people, and we didn't. We lost people. Joining us now to break down those numbers and to break down the mayor of St. Louis's interview, really, is Max Jordan. He's our senior municipal government correspondent, and he's also the president of SLU Democrats. Hi, Max.
Hi, Mark. Pleasure as always.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Mayor Slay, is he in some political turmoil? Because, I mean, again, they kept on fighting the census estimation, saying, no, we're actually going to gain people. We're going to gain 9,000 people. We're going to gain it. Press release after press release after press release.
It was a whole culture of, I wouldn't use the word deception, but of ignorance to the root issues of why we lose people in City Hall. And frankly, the mayor has lost a lot of political credibility from this reduction of people. We are at the lowest population. The city of St. Louis is at its lowest population since the turn of the century.
It's hard to believe. I mean, that's pretty astounding that we have never had these few people in the city since well before 1900. Pretty interesting. Now, let me ask you this then: is there, because of this, do you think someone may run against Mayor Slay for his fourth term?
Well, Mayor Slay has 2 real big issues right now. One, it's the census data, and the failure of almost every single program that City Hall's proposed to rectify our population deficiency. You know, it's killing the city. The tax base is shrinking. The schools are worse. There's little bright news in the city government right now. And his second major issue is, running for that, third term is just,
Fourth term, yeah.
Or fourth term, I'm sorry. It's unprecedented. There has not ever been a mayor of St. Louis who has done a fourth term. And I feel like precedents will take hold, and he will probably certainly have a challenger in the Democratic primary.
I think he will too. But to his defense, I mean, the people that moved out of the city, it seemed like were people that are moving out of urban cities all across the country. And then there were some people, the young professionals that did move in the city. So the areas like downtown and the central corridor where we are here in Midtown kind of did grow and did show some signs of encouragement. But the city overall, I mean, that's going to affect how we get federal money.
Yeah, tax dollars. And I'm not faulting the mayor for his program specifically, but we have these little pockets of development all over the city that can't seem to be connected. We are not marketing the city of St. Louis effectively. Mm-hmm. They've kind of routinely failed at coming up with a slogan or idea of St. Louis to sell to young professionals. Now, Washington Avenue aside, whatever Ballpark Village will become.
Separate issue.
Separate issue altogether. Those are just small little patches of development and growth. But frankly, there's large parts of the city that are emptying at a pretty substantial rate.
And a lot of those people seem to be families. Okay, so can you point, if you had to point to an issue, do you think that the failing public schools here in the city of St. Louis, and I say they're failing because again, they really don't have accreditation and they're still controlled by the state, so they're technically still failing. They may be getting better, but would you want to be a young professional with a new family and send your kids to St. Louis City public schools?
Absolutely not.
Do you think that's the issue?
The schools, if I haven't seen breakdown and polling data yet, but frankly, it has to be the schools. If you are a young, upper middle class, 30-plus professional, and you've got 2 young kids, there would be no way that you could send them to St. Louis public school system. There are great schools, and then there are bad schools, as inherently in every city school system. But the metrics just aren't there. The good schools are producing, good students, but the vast majority are not moving up the academic ladder. And it's unfortunate. And the city just hasn't, again, articulated a policy to say, this is how we're going to fix our schools. There are reforms that are in place, and there are progressive voices inside it. But, it's enough to worry parents and keep them up at night, period.
Yeah. The schools are, though, controlled by the locally elected school board, except in this case of the city of St. Louis, because they're controlled by the state. But so it is kind of hard. And I've talked to the mayor, and the mayor's education advisor, actually. We talked about it because it's, the mayor doesn't have too much control about the school. So, okay.
He has very little, relatively.
So the school point aside, what does the city of St. Louis need to do to either bring back citizens or residents or to, I guess, expand its core?
There's actually a couple things. I was doing a little research on this topic after you asked me to be on, and there's a couple things.
Well, I hope so.
In Detroit, there's a really great program they're doing in Detroit. And Detroit is like the poster child of urban exit in America. It's a city that has everything wrong going for it. And I'm not the only one that has that opinion. It's a nationally held opinion, imported directly from Detroit, all those commercials. But what they're doing is they're giving civil servants an opportunity to buy houses that are largely abandoned or in need of renovation for as little as $3,000 down payment. And the idea is to get these public servants into the city, to get them into transitional neighborhoods, and to kind of reinforce the working class roots of the city while giving them, a needed benefit of a home in the city. And what's happening is you're seeing these houses getting renovated, these neighborhoods transforming. It's really an innovative option, and I feel like that it might be a way to bridge this kind of attitude that's going around the country right now that against civil service and reforms of that nature.
That's an interesting take. We'll have to see how that works in Detroit, but they are again failing. Real quickly, do you think that these census numbers will now have to stir up that debate about the region of St. Louis, not just the independent city of St. Louis, but the region, St. Louis City, St. Louis County, some sort of merger or some sort of inclusion?
A merger has to be coming. Just right here on my hand, St. Charles grew by 26% in 10 years. You just see these numbers flocking to counties. You're seeing their tax bases expand, and you're seeing the city fail. And the writing's on the wall, but is there the political will and motivation? and it's not there yet.
You don't think it's there with Slay and Dooley? Charlie Dooley, St. Louis County Executive?
It may be at the top, but it's all about middle management and city bureaucracies. And who is going to, release their fiefdoms? Who's going to surrender power? It has to happen. The services have to be merged. But the problem is that there's so much institutional pressure against it. You have to be worried.
Interesting. Max, I appreciate your time and your insight. We'll go over some of this data more. I shouldn't say that because we only have a few more weeks left here on Mondays in Midtown, so I can't guarantee that we'll do anything. But again, Max, I really do appreciate your insight.
My pleasure, as always.
Switching topics to media now. Our own Amanda Honigfort recently caught up with Tim Eby. He's a station manager at KWMU, which is St. Louis Public Radio here in St. Louis, the NPR affiliate. And she talked to him about the station moving to Midtown St. Louis, and more specifically the Grand Center, right next to KETC Channel 9. Take a look.
St. Louis Public Radio 90.7 KWMU broke ground on the site of what will be their new Midtown studio this past Friday. The new studio has already been a few years in the making, but it should be well worth the wait. The three-story, 27,000 square foot facility will make St. Louis Public Radio better equipped to grow and serve the community. The project, in partnership with the 9 Network of Public Media and the University of Missouri St. Louis, where the station currently resides, will include improved studio space for St. Louis Public Radio, academic space for UMSL, and a new media commons. I talked to St. Louis Public Radio's general manager, Tim Eby, to find out more about the building project.
Thank you for coming on Mondays in Midtown.
Absolutely.
You had the groundbreaking this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about that and how it went?
We were very worried about rain, and the weather gods were watching over us in many ways because the skies cleared, a little cloudy, but the sun was breaking through, and despite a little bit of wind, we were able to have our ceremonial groundbreaking with several. We had some university representatives, representatives from the donor community in Grand Center, from the 9 Network for Public Television, which is KETC. Our architects were there, and a few speeches were made, but it was a very exciting time in terms of making the announcement and getting the thing officially started. It was a nice opportunity for us to really thank many of the people who have gotten us to this point, and there have been many who have really helped us get there.
Why did you decide to move the station to Midtown, and what made you choose the Grand Center?
The project really came about from some conversations from one of the great supporters of the university and the station and Grand Center, Ken Kransberg, who had this idea about the university having a presence in Grand Center, and then ultimately that led UMSL to think, well, let's not only take the university down there, but let's take St. Louis Public Radio, the radio station that serves all of St. Louis, into Midtown, and with the other institutions that are around that area, it would just be a great opportunity for further alliances and partnerships. So that's how it all came about.
And how will it be better than your current location?
First and foremost, I think location-wise, it's significant because we're right in the heart of Midtown in Grand Center, which, as you know, is the Arts and Entertainment District in St. Louis. So we're going to be around all of these great institutions, whether it's Powell Hall or the Fox. We'll be right next door to our public television station, right around the corner from the Sheldon and the Pulitzer and the Contemporary Museum. So you've got all these great institutions there that we think that there'll be opportunities to tap in and share resources and share ideas and create programming and content and partnerships around that. So from a location standpoint, that is just exciting for us because we're basically in a place that it's a great marketing opportunity for us. We'll be, Grand Center, there are 1.5 million people that go to Grand Center each year, and so we'll have a presence there for that. So that is, I think, one of the first and foremost things that's exciting about it, as well as having SLU right around the corner as well, certainly. But beyond that, from the facility itself, what we'll have is basically double the capacity to produce local shows, produce local news. Right now we have 5 studios, and we're basically doubling that number so that we'll be able to produce more local programming, because we think providing local news and information to the community is going to be more and more important as time goes on, as resources from other media outlets do less and less really substantial local news coverage and programs. We're willing to, and we want to step in and provide that service.
So do you think being closer to SLU will lead to more involvement with St. Louis University students and possibly the departments in general?
Well, we hope so. I mean, we have some great relationships with SLU right now. Guests appearing on our talk shows often come from SLU, whether it's the law school or from some other area that can provide a lot of resources. We did a live broadcast, as a matter of fact, from SLU back earlier this year with the sustainability conference that was going on there, and had a whole program about sustainability that was done from the SLU campus. So there's a great partnership now. I think we do a lot of things with SLU now, but I think having the opportunity to have the experts from the faculty involved with the station, the opportunity that I think some of the programming class-wise, educationally, that we're going to be doing the academic programs, there may be opportunities to share credit between SLU and UMSL, similar to some of the relationships that we have with WashU right now in UMSL. So I think there's really a lot of opportunities. In addition to that, in addition to our building, we're also working with the 9 Network on creating a plaza, which we're calling a public media commons between our 2 buildings. And what that will allow us to do is to have space to do films and concerts and things like that. And so it will be an opportunity that we think that SLU students hopefully will walk a little bit north and take part in those activities as well.
The media commons previously mentioned will bridge the studios of the 9 Network of Public Media and St. Louis Public Radio. According to Jack Alamachi, president of the 9 Network of Public Media, it will be a place where arts, education, and public media come together. The commons will also include, among other things, a walkway to the Fox Theater.
It's a public space. The idea is ultimately we'd like to get to a point where we have a big LED screen that you can see whether it's day or light. We're probably going to be starting by doing projected video that you can only see at night usually, but we're looking at some other digital media kind of displays there as well that will be highly interactive and an opportunity, I think, to really engage the public in a different way. We'll have table seating so that people can have lunch out there or dinner, and so there's going to be a whole plethora of activities, and again, the partnerships with some of the other institutions to do concerts and films and things like that is just very exciting for us.
Before I left, I had to ask Mr. Eby what he hoped for the future of St. Louis Public Radio 90.7 KWMU.
Well, the big with this move to Grand Center, it's really going to allow us to do a couple of things. It's going to, first and foremost, we'll have the space to do more local programs, both in the studios that we'll be having, plus we'll be able to have more space to actually house news reporters and producers, which right now we've basically run out of space in our newsroom here in the station. So that's really the biggest and most substantial piece of what we're going to be able to do, is to do more local programs and news stories. The other piece of it is that it's also going to allow us to invite the public in to participate in more activities, programs, and things like that. One of the elements of the building is a multi-purpose space that will house 100 to 150 people, so we can bring the public in for a live broadcast of our talk show, St. Louis on the Air, or a live concert, or things like that, that we just don't have the capability to do that now. So that's really going to be the big piece in terms of more service to the local community that we'll have with this facility.
The construction is expected to take a year, so with any luck, in the spring of 2012, St. Louis Public Radio will be broadcasting from their new Midtown studios. Perhaps you'll want to walk the block north down a potential new walkway that will be constructed next to SLUMA, straight to the heart of Midtown's new media commons.
Powerful, rich, compelling. Thanks, Amanda. I've learned a lot about NPR's affiliate here in St. Louis moving to the Grand Center. Quick programming note, not really, but quick note. KDHX, which is the community radio organization here in St. Louis, they play a variety of programs from indie to rap to rock and roll and everything in between. They're also moving into the Grand Center, into the Creepy Crawls old venue spot. So look for them to be coming to the Grand Center as well. So Channel 9, NPR, and KDHX will all be in the Grand Center just north of campus. Get involved, get interested. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Joining us now are Danny Lewis and Julie Spicella. They are juniors in the occupational therapy program here at SLU. And you had a special day today, and I want you to tell us about it because I feel better and I feel happier already because of your operation that you did today. Tell us about it.
Well, right now we are in a wellness class, and what we wanted to do was create a project on campus that would just increase our wellness and those of the other students on campus.
So then you came up with Operation Affirmation. You both have the shirts on that say Operation Affirmation. Maybe you saw them around campus today. What is Operation Affirmation?
Basically, it was a project our class came up with, and we went from having a blog where we threw out different ideas about what we could do to increase any kind of wellness. And one of our ideas was like putting soap things in the bathroom so people would wash their hands for longer. But we ultimately decided on this, where we'd stand on campus for 3 hours during the day, and basically we just went around and affirmed people and told them they were awesome and handed out great things. So I think we made people happy.
That's cool. How many people were in your class? You said there's...
We have about 37 in our class.
And so then you all spread out today around campus, right?
Yeah, we split on North and South Campus. It's groups of 2. We had a couple extra people in the BSC. We rented out a table and just
went out, but no hugs,
gave
right?
compliments. No free hugs. We did have a couple of people who made the signs that said free compliments and walked around. It went well, though.
What did you guys get out of this experience? It seems like it's a pretty cool experience. I mean, and your teacher, of course, is Mondays in Midtown contributor Jean Eichler. We have some pictures that you're seeing now from today's events, but their teacher is Mondays in Midtown special contributor Jean Eichler. But what do you ladies feel about this experience after you did it today?
It was so fun. Just, I mean, standing, especially like when I was at the clock tower and just throwing out compliments to people, and they just look at you. Once they realize you were sincere and were not being a jerk, essentially, they looked at you and they were like, "Hey, thanks. You too. You have a great day."
Personally, it just made my day. I've been smiling all day. I can't get my smile off my face. So,
do you think that's something that's lacking here at SLU or around the world, for that matter? People going out of their way to make other people feel good about themselves.
I think we have this social. I took a social psychology course recently, so that's been on my mind. The way that we kind of avoid strangers, and I noticed that once we started just even walking up to someone with a smile, not even, you know, they're just like more open and.
I wouldn't say necessarily that it's lacking here on campus, because I think the community is great, and I feel like whenever I'm walking on the quad and people are like, "Hey, Danny," you know, I feel like people definitely go out of their way to, you know, make each other feel happy. Maybe in the world, but you know, take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
So if you were approaching me, you see this strapping gentleman coming down the quad with award-winning hair, you know, obviously already looking great and doing great. Not necessarily, obviously, because no one knows what's going on in my head. But what would you say to me if you saw me coming down the quad?
Well, mine would probably be nice jacket. You're looking sharp.
I like those sport coats. I don't see too many people who's wearing sport coats and khaki anymore. Right?
And then I would probably say, hand you a little smiley face eraser that we are passing out, and I'd say, will you do us a favor and pass on a smile and a compliment today?
Very cool. Well, it sounded like it was a success. I really appreciate you coming on and tell us about it, and great work. If you yourself were affirmed today, you can send us an email at mondaysinmidtown@gmail.com, and we'll share those results or those experiences on next week's program. But right now, and these ladies are really excited about it, right now it's time to talk with our good friend Chris Ackles. He is a Mondays in Midtown contributor, but this past semester he's been in London studying stuff that you study in London. And so we have made him our special royal wedding contributor for Mondays in Midtown. So I think we have a link now. Joining us now is Chris Ackles. Good evening, Chris.
And good evening to you too, Mark. I'm Chris Ackles, live in London with an exclusive interview with Prince William and soon-to-be Princess Kate. Congratulations to you two. Kate, you first. You're about to be royalty. How does it feel?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of royalty because they don't make a lot of money, and Prince William's kind of lazy.
Well, Prince William, she just called you lazy. You're going to marry the girl in a little over a week. What are your thoughts on how this relationship's going to unfold?
She just had my strange few moments. She had a little bit too much strongbow earlier today.
And that reminds me, what will be the drink of choice? You're going to go Strongbow, you're going to go Carlsberg, you're going to see some wine, some champagne. What's the drink of choice at the royal wedding this year?
I'm a personal fan of Sex on the Beach. Well, sometimes we go down south and drink absinthe.
Queen, we have a question for you. The Queen, as they both just made references to sex on the beach and going down south. So I don't really know how to respond to that. So the Queen, I have a question for you. You're just about to welcome a new daughter into the family, your granddaughter. Family lineage isn't my thing, but you're about to welcome a whole new family, the Middleton family, into the royal family. What are your thoughts on the wedding?
I'm very excited. I just hope that I survive the next 2 weeks.
I don't like you.
Well, so there you go. We have Prince William, the current Queen of England, and soon-to-be Princess Kate Middleton. I'm Chris Ackles. I'll be there in 2 weeks, and I'll be back at SLU in August. Thanks a bunch. Back to you, Mark.
That was Chris Ackles. He is our senior royal wedding correspondent, and he is actually joining us from London there. He's studying in London. Not sure if those people were part of the royal family. Doesn't matter, though. We'll put it on air because it's closed-circuit television. Joining us now, though, is Colin Shevlin. He is the outgoing chair of the Great Issues Committee, but still kind of the chair.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a chair I am anymore. Luke Gatta is the current chair. Yeah. Doing a bang-up job.
Gotta love those bang-up jobs from chairs, though. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about the last speaker of the Great Issues Committee speaker calendar, because it's going to happen in a few weeks.
I would love to do that.
Right.
May 4th, we're having Jonathan Safran Foer, who is an American novelist. He's written Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, was one of his novels. His latest book, though, isn't a novel at all. It's called Eating Animals. And he explores the moral implications of eating animals, the effects that it has on the environment, on politics, on the way we think about our relationship with animals, all kinds of stuff.
Interesting. And I know you started reading the book. I thought we had a different speaker coming. Michael Pollan is not coming to SLU next on that date. I thought Michael Pollan was coming to SLU, so I started reading his book. I'm going to go ahead and throw that away, recycle it. I won't throw it away, I'll recycle it. But it's somewhat a controversial subject, or does he kind of approach it from a free-spirited standpoint?
I would say it is kind of a controversial
Because you get a lot of people that eat meat.
Yeah, and
I eat meat.
And I think a lot of people don't want to give up their hamburgers, you know.
Especially when they're 99 cents from McDonald's.
Yeah.
Seriously, you get McDoubles for $1. I mean, on a college budget, that's pretty cheap. But is that part of the problem?
Yeah. I think he says, you know, factory farming, the widespread meat diet, especially the diet that's so high in meat that we have in the United States, is all part of a problem that has a lot of consequences.
Interesting. And we'll have a Mondays in Midtown exclusive interview with him, right?
Of course.
Of course. What about the specifics on the event? What time is it at? Repeat the date and where is it at?
It's May 4th at 7 p.m. in the Bush Student Center, Wool Ballrooms.
Wool Ballrooms. And we'll be there, you'll be there, and everyone will be there. You should definitely come because it's an interesting topic and you'll be able to ask them some questions as well. Colin, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no
Colin,
problem, Mark.
we like to call him in the streets, we like to call him Fulbright because he got a Fulbright scholarship and he will be going over to Spain to teach English and research stuff about English, right?
Yeah.
Very proud of you, Colin. Thanks for coming on. I have the last word. It's now time for Dr. Z. Schaefer's commentary segment. Take a look over there.
Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about nonverbal codes and the importance of those codes when you're trying to communicate with someone either one-on-one or in more of a group setting. From a very young age, most of us are taught that the smartest kids in class or the smartest person in the room is the person that raises their hand first and talks the most. Right? And oftentimes that might be the case. But what those individuals do that many other people do not is they have control and understanding of their nonverbals. So it's not just what you're saying that's important, but how you're saying it. And oftentimes you will be perceived as being credible or more credible than someone else who doesn't think about nonverbal communication. So first of all, when you're talking, you must keep eye contact with the person, especially when you're in more of a group or mass setting situation. For instance, here's what students often do. They get in a situation and they do public reading instead of public speaking. That's problematic. If you don't have eye contact with your audience, their mind will wander. Another thing you can think about using as a speaker is proxemics, the use of space. So oftentimes in a classroom setting, the professor is the one standing and walking around and the students are sitting. So when you go into a speaking or communication situation, always look around at your environment to make sure you have the tools necessary to convey your message. A third thing to think about is what we call haptics, or the use of touch. This is very important when meeting someone for the first time. Keep eye contact, shake their hand, if possible put them a pat on the back. It will always make you more memorable when you're meeting someone. Overall, what nonverbals do is help you convey a sense of certainty or assertiveness in addition to the message that you're trying to convey orally. So in short, what you say is important, but oftentimes how you say it differentiates whether or not your audience will remember your message. Thank you.
And again, that was Dr. Z. Schaefer, a SLU communication professor. If you got a comment, thought, tweet me, or do something. Joining us now is Willie McKenna. He's a senior sports analyst for Mondays in Midtown. Good evening, Willie.
Evening. How you doing, Mark?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Glad we got that out of the way. What's going on with the Cardinals? We had a great road trip. Lance Berkman. I mean, hey, I think I started the hashtag on Twitter. These things called hashtags. You got to put the pound and then the thing. I think I started the pound or the hashtag for Lance Berkman. I just say Lance. Now that might be construed for Lance.
I like that, but yeah, you're right. A good West Coast road trip. A little bit of a rough start against San Francisco. Took one game there, but then take 2 of 3 against Arizona and 3 of 4 against the LA Dodgers. And you know that game 4, Ryan Franklin with his 4th blown save already this year. So a little bit of a tough beginning here for Ryan Franklin. Hopefully Tony La Russa will shake something up with the bullpen and get that situation figured out. And like you said, Lance Berkman up to 6 home runs on the year, 13 RBIs. He's leading the team in basically all offensive categories right now, and he almost looks like the Lance Berkman of 2004 with the Houston Astros. So really a great offensive burst by the Cardinals in the past week or so.
Lance Berkman 2004, we all know what happened there. Speaking of Tony, he had that press conference a few weeks ago where, you know, I guess a reporter asked him, you know, basically he snapped and he got some heat from it. But I think I side with Tony because it's so early in the season. Why are you asking him questions about, well, is Albert going to hit? Is Lance going to hit? Am I right on that?
No, I think you are right. I think the thing is Albert's never been off to this type of slow start in his career, and I think fans just begin to worry about that, and if he's going to snap out of it, it's just something out of the ordinary for him. And then the signing of Lance Berkman, probably in the last year of his career, out in right field somewhere he hasn't been in quite a few seasons now. So I think there's just concerns and a little bit of worry about the team, but you know, now that things are beginning to pull together, I think that those questions are going to begin to diminish.
Yeah. Let's quickly then talk about the lockout. They're still locked out. Is there someone?
Still locked out. Labor talks have resumed. You know, the NFL draft coming up at the end of the month here.
Is that still going to go on?
The draft is still going to go on. It's still unsure as to whether players will show up at the draft. The NFL Players Union is urging them not to, but obviously the NFL wants the college kids to show up there for their big day, because obviously that is the day that they've worked you know, their entire lives for, and it's a big day for them. So you know, it's going to be interesting going down the stretch. The preseason schedules have been released, and Roger Goodell says that the regular season schedules will still be released even with the lockout still going on.
Interesting stuff. I guess my last question to you is, who wins? Who wins if there's a lockout?
Who wins? Nobody wins, honestly. Nobody wins if there's a lockout.
Nobody gets paid. They don't make money, and the fans can't watch football.
Right. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone.
China wins somehow.
Actually, you know who does win? I say the Canadian Football League wins.
They have a football league?
CFL takes off next year.
All right. We'll be covering the Canadian Football League on the next week's edition of Mondays in Midtown. Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming on, Willie.
No problem, Mark.
Now, earlier in the show, we had part 3 of our 3-part series of interviewing Mayor Slay. Well, we sent our woman on the streets, Olivia Fugate, out to ask SLU students, random SLU students, including him, if they knew who Francis Slay was. Take a look.
Do you know who Francis Slay is?
I don't know. It's the mayor of St. Louis.
Do you know who Francis Slay is?
No.
All right, he's the mayor of St. Louis for the past 10 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Who?
Yes, Francis Slay.
Francine Blay?
Francis Slay.
I have no idea.
He's the mayor of St. Louis.
I knew that.
You would think people would know who their mayor is, but they don't. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Joining us now is Taylor McDonald. Taylor is a producer here at Mondays in Midtown, all-around decent person. And we're going to go over some of the tweets and emails that we have gotten directed at us. Taylor, do you want to first start with all the tweets? We had 2 tweets, I guess, that were directed at me in this past week that I thought were notable enough to share. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, over the last week we had the first one coming from SLU Safety.
Reputable source.
Yeah, and this one's at Mark J. Zinn. A candid discussion about sexual assault will be held Monday, well today, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Tegler Hall. So hopefully a lot of students were able to check that one out.
I hope they were. I just wanted to make a note again that that was directed at me. They initially tweeted at Mark J. Zinn, and the graphic that was just up there. I woke up that morning and go, they're trying to send me a message maybe. I don't know. But what's the other one though, Taylor?
Second came in from Paul Letterer.
Good friend.
Yeah,
Good friend
this one is also directed at Mark J. Zinn. What are your thoughts on Tony Bennett and or Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Well, let me share you those thoughts real quick. I guess this will actually take us, I'm going to go ahead and say this is our final frame segment. Will be dedicated to what Paul's question was. Tony Bennett, he came to I work at the Fox Theater. He came to the Fox last year. The guy's like 83, and I have never, like his voice still sounds incredible. He sounded like Neil Diamond times 10, which is hard to do. But he's still kicking, and he is still alive, and he will be at the Fox Theater on the first Saturday of May for an evening performance, so you should get tickets. And Earth, Wind, and Fire,
where to begin with that?
Where do I begin? I mean, Dancing in September, I think it was the name of one of their songs, September. So check them out.
So a fan? Overall
I'm an overall fan of both of them. I know you are.
Well,
you went to an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert.
Yeah, actually, not too long ago.
Don't lie to the viewers.
All right,
he
go.
He doesn't even know who Earth, Wind, and Fire is, but that's okay.
Don't give me that.
Let's get to that email, though. This email comes from Amanda Honigford's dad. Go ahead. You want to read it, Taylor, or you want me to?
I'll take it.
Okay.
This again coming from Michael Honigford, our executive producer, Amanda Honigford's father. You do a great show. There are some great segments, and thank you for introducing us to Armanzo Garbanzo. I believe that's a typo. We'll put that as Alonzo.
That was a typo. It is Alonzo Garbanzo. Michael Honigford, I hope you know that if Alonzo Garbanzo did watch this program, he'd sue you just because he's so graced with his name. And really quickly, though, can you throw that email back up there real quick? No? Here's my favorite part. There are some great segments, which leads me to believe that there are some horrible segments on our show, too. So we thank you, Michael Honigford, for emailing us that. We appreciate your insight. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new segment. We started doing this. We've never done this before. It's our first birthday. So if you have a birthday, someone you know is celebrating their first birthday, send it to us. So this is Molly Heinley's first birthday. Was celebrated this past weekend here in Crestwood, which is a smaller municipality in southwest St. Louis County. Oh, no. Well, put it back up there. Oh, look at that. That is just so cute. Yeah, it is an adorable child. So if you can send us your first birthday pictures to mondaysinmidtown@gmail.com.
We'll throw them up there.
Full disclosure, that is my niece. So, yep, that's our show for this week. Really thank you. I really appreciate you watching this program, as does Taylor and Amanda and Brett Kostreski, our senior political analyst, who's standing out there on his phone. But if you have a comment, mondaysinmidtown@gmail.com. We only got a few more shows left.
Drop us a line.
Drop us a line, and we're preparing for that all-powerful last episode of Mondays in Midtown, which should be a barn burner. But without further ado, Alonzo Garbanzo, Clip of the Week. Good night.
If you see me walking down the street and I start to cry each time you on by. Make believe you don't see the tears, just let me grieve. Private, 'cause each time I see you, I break down and cry. Walk on by. Walk on by. Walk on by. Oh, I just can't get over losing you. So if I see you broken in two, walk on by. Walk on by. Foolish pride, it's all that I have left. So let me hide the tears and the sadness you gave me when you said goodbye. Walk on by. 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 Foolish pride, it's all that I have left. So let me hide the tears and the sadness you gave me when you said goodbye. Walk on by. Make believe you never see the tears I cry. See, now I really gotta go, so walk on by. Stop, walk on by.
What the moral implications are of eating animals.
Mm-hmm. Is it? Do you see it's going to be? Is it a controversial topic to speak on?
I think so.
We're going to go ahead and redo this one again. We just went to a green. Let's go ahead and redo this. You can use all this in bloopers, I'm sure, Amanda. Entertainment Tonight, the most watched entertainment program on television.
All right, sorry guys.
Entertainment Tonight with Colin Shevlin.
There you go. Go ahead and start again.
Okay.
All right, we're watching that and we're in disbelief.
Yeah, I am just aghast.
Wake up in Midtown. Hi everyone, I'm Beverly. You know what I'm saying? Let's take a look. And all right, let's do it again. Like what? Tim Eby about Storm Alert Weather Team. Fleur did it, did it, did it, did it, did it, did it. I feel like I get smaller and smaller behind this thing.
Take one of these and I'll take these two papers.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can use these. It doesn't matter. You can describe the tweets if you want. Come on down. Come on down.
So you're going to come down or?
You're looking really shady in the corner. I need to go this way. Yep.
Way,
Oh, I feel like we should. Oh, shit. Looking shady in the corner. Bunch of us sitting in the extreme corners. Hey! All right, let's get a little closer like we know each other. I feel like this whole table can go over just a little bit. There we go. There we go.
Am I looking at this guy?
I feel like you... Yeah, I don't know what... Is that...
Hi, how you doing?
Hi. All right. So... you know, well, it's not as good as it used to be. Get up on your feet, stop making fine excuses. What would you do if your son is at home, crying all alone in the bedroom floor because he's hungry? And then
Where are you with the gun that we found at the bottom of the Hudson River?
The gun was involved in a prostitution sting off the east side of Manhattan. Still waiting for the forensic file to show up on it.
Well, you better find that gun, or we're going to get caught in court with our pants around our ankles.
Said it.
That's a nice truck.
Don't even think about it. Do you want to drive?
Have any of y'all seen an F5?
One of us has. It's the mother of all storms.
Finger of God.
Is that what he says? Yeah. All right, let's try it. Let's try it again. Has any of y'all seen an F5? No, I know exactly what she says. Is there an F5?
Oh, yeah, that's how it goes.
You should ask me, who's that, honey? No, you should say, honey. There'd be people like, are they
going on in the Midtown studio?
On Monday. Are they dating?
Very progressive.
They're very progressive, but you know what? That Mark Zinn does not like federally funded.
I don't know where he stands. I respect that.
I respect that.
I respect his mixed views.
I like him. I like his hair. I don't like his social issues, though. It's now time for Mark and Brett do viewer comments.
Who's that?
It's Jonas Miller. He's a night crawler. I just can't.
I like the other one.
There's.
It's going to go left. It's turning left.
Get out of there, Jonas! Get out of there!
Sir, should we turn back? He's never put us in harm's way.
Keep driving. When the car lands right in front of the psychiatrist.
I see cows. We got cows.
There's cows. The fact that Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton don't die from blunt force trauma at the end of that movie is beyond my scope of.
But they had a leather belt attached to a gas line.
I think we
might have been a water line.
We could assume it was some sort of utility line that breaks. So not only does that line hold, it doesn't break till after. That line holds, their leather belt holds, and no piece of flying shrapnel.
Yeah, they're surrounded by a little wooden hut that covers the utility, and it somehow gets blown away into a million pieces, but they're fine.
Car, a wheel. There's so many things that could be picked up in a tornado and just thrown at these people, and they could die.
Well, it's an
incredibly bloody death.
It is an incredibly romantic moment, though.
Very beautiful.
Can't disagree with that.
Being inside that eye of the tornado and not dying from blunt force trauma.
Gorgeous.
Pretty impressive.
It was meant to be. They were meant to be together. I think that's what we got to take from that movie.
All right.
Sure.
That might work. No, then you.